Hello, all of you Soul Train cruisers and other Star Vista Live cruisers. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your virtual cruise host, Jason. And with me today, I have another absolute legend. If you are a Soul Train cruiser or a Soul Train, the TV show fan, you know this man very well. This is the one and only Derek Fleming, otherwise known, AKA Mr. Dee Fox. How we doing,
What's
sir?
up, everyone? I'm good, Jay. How are you, man?
We're good, man. We're good. It's good to see your face. I miss you already.
Good to see you too, man.
Tell me, what are you up to right now? Well, first of all, where are you calling in from? First of all, where are you?
Irvine, California.
Irvine,
down
California.
South. Yes.
And you are in that room. You got all kinds of things happening. We're gonna get to the room in a second. I don't even want to go there yet. Most importantly, how are you feeling? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Everyone in my family, you know, and friends and people that I love. I haven't heard anything negative at this point.
Good.
Hunkering down. My wife and I, we both still go to work. I work at a senior community called Leisure World, but better known as Laguna Woods Village. And I'm one of the essentials there. So yeah, I'm loving what I do because I get to make people smile that aren't, you know, so happy in these times, man. It's really hard.
And last time we talked, you were talking about walking into work every day. Is that still something you do?
Yeah.
Tell everybody what your commute is. What's your walking commute?
About 3 miles or less.
But each way, right? I mean, you're walking.
Yeah. Well, 6 miles if you go each way, but 3 miles one way and 3 miles back is real close.
I love it. But it's real close. But most people would cab it or do something. Not a lot of people necessarily opt to walk that. But you're a big proponent of movement, of walking, of health. You know, you push for it hard because, as you've so delicately put to me, you know, you're not 25 anymore, and it's important, right?
Yes, it's very important to keep care of our health. You know, because you don't realize, or I didn't realize, the things that I heard from people that were older than myself that would say, hey, you got to live a certain way, a certain lifestyle. Yeah. You know, this is back in the 50s, and I'm, you know, 62. So I'm talking about in the 60s and 70s when people
I love that you breeze over that. You are 62 years young and you still walk, move, act, and talk like you were in your 20s or 30s at the worst. Bro, that's amazing. That's a testament, you know, not only to good genes and good bloodlines, but to you yourself. You've obviously done a lot of work to maintain a certain level of health.
You know, and it's a blessing. You know, I think DNA plays a part in it, of course. But I think, like I said, I've always tried to live a healthy lifestyle, not a fake one where I'm trying to work out and be, you know, get muscles or anything, but always conscious of what my body wants to do. And, you know, a lot of us, if we just let it, our bodies will just, you know, deteriorate and want to lay down. Yeah. But I've always kept my body amped at a certain level. I'm not trying to be hype man. I'm not trying to run marathons. But I am trying to be able to get on the dance floor and show what I got.
Well, matter of fact, let's go back a few years. For anyone watching, for our non-Soul Train fans out there that are tuned in because they've heard your name or they're just looking for content, let's talk a little bit about the original Derek Fleming. Let's talk about Dee Fox. How people know you, of course, as an original dancer on the Soul Train television show. Let's talk a little bit about the good old days. How'd you get onto the television show as a dancer?
Well, you know, growing up here in Orange County, it was not very many black people that lived here, and the blacks that did move here came from different parts of the country because their fathers happened to be in the militaries. I guess some others as well. So most of the people I grew up with were not from where I'm from, Orange County, California. They are from other parts of the United States. So that being said, my mom died in 1970, and when I went to 7th grade, that was a junior high school called Smetley at that time. And that's when there was an influx of all these kids whose fathers were coming in from Vietnam. So that's when I started dancing because most of those kids that came from those inner cities were dancers. And more importantly, Jackson 5 had just been released that year. Sly and the Family Stone had hit after hit after hit, the Isley Brothers. And it's so funny that those are the three groups that are just on this cruise, you know, after this stretch. So it's like, wow, how cyclical it was for me in my life. Yeah. So that year, 1971, I did a talent show and I happened to do the robot before Michael Jackson. Only because I probably saw the same show that a lot of kids saw, which was with Shields and Yarnell. And when I saw that, it just moved me to do that type of movement. I forget what pop song that they did something to, but if any kid that saw that, it moved them. And I was just one of those kids that was just like any other kid that heard it, wanted to do it, did it on the talent show, one of the Silver songs. and blew people away. And it blew me away because my mom, like I said, it just passed that year. And
Yeah.
it was just something that I gravitated to. I wanted to dance. Never
And
wanted to be this dancer.
okay, keep going. Yep.
Yeah, never tried to be this dancer, but always wanted to dance because this is when the newer teenage began. It was the Bobby Soxers and those people. So here it is, we the new teenagers, discos coming out. We don't know the names of these things, but this is what we're hearing on the radio. Long
Yeah.
playing records. So when you hear these records, you got to be able to be able to perform throughout the record. If that's what
Yeah.
I was trying to do, is perform throughout those long records. And so fast forward, got into high school, and all I would do is brag about how I'm going to get on Soul Train because that came out in '71. Anybody that asked me, I'm going to be on Soul Train. So like those kids that I said that came from all over the United States, I was able to pick up any dance that I saw. I would learn, execute it well, I believe, and then I would use it as my arsenal. So when I would get in these dance contests in high school, I would win these contests by using that arsenal of dancers from everywhere. Went to a dance contest by the time I turned like 19, and I met Jeffrey Daniels at a contest I won in a club called Ichabod's. And when I won this contest, my brother was a musician, so he was actually talking to Jeffrey about music. And then I said, yeah, I knew who it was, but I asked, aren't you the guy on Soul Train? Yeah. I said, how do you get on there? I'll tell you, do this, do that. Gave me an album, put his name on it. And I went down to Soul Train in line like everyone else, but I happened to meet the guy that Jeffrey told me his name was Chuck Johnson. Talked to Chuck Johnson, and Chuck Johnson is the one that let me in the gates. And then I'll start in case you have a question.
No, bro. People are here for you, not for me. You go. I've got
Okay.
questions, but don't worry.
Okay.
I'll
I just
keep
want to make
notes.
sure I'm not going too fast.
Never. Keep
Okay.
going.
So where I met a lot of the Soul Train dancers prior to me, this experience of finally getting into the gates of Soul Train, I would go to these college dances, which was at Cal State Fullerton, UCI. These are Long Beach State University. These are universities, in the area, less than 50 miles. So I'll go to these college dances, and what would usually happen, I knew I had a gift, but it's not like you have this gift.
Yeah.
I just know when people were watching me, they were like, wow. So I would get in these college dances, and people would just stop and watch me dance. And I never took it as like, wow, you're showing off. I just knew I was having such a good time and people were enjoying it. I just kept going. And then I knew to take it down like a notch. You're kind of showing off right now. That's enough to showing off.
Sure.
Get back to this of having the fun. This is where my confidence came from, is just taking advantage of moments. Okay, so when I walked in the Soul Train doors, I knew that I had, or gates I should say, I knew that I had a gift to dance. And I felt that confident that the people that I'd seen on TV, emulating them, that I should not have a problem if I got up on stage right away and wanted to dance. So the floor director, Chuck Johnson, says, dancers on the floor. So I hear that and I'm like, whoa. So I went right up on the center stage. So he didn't say nothing right away, but right before the record starts, he says, hey man, come down. I said, why? Everybody else is on stage and I didn't hear him putting anyone else down.
Yeah.
He says, well, because I'm the man that puts people where I want them to go, and I haven't put you anywhere. I said, oh, okay. So I came down. I said, well, how do you get up here, man? He said, well, I tell you what, this guy right here, if you can outdance him, I'll put you up there on the next record. And then the rest is kind of history. There's some other things that happen within that story. But for the most part, I want to tell this because this is kind of the most serious part of this story about my life on Soul Train. I was on stage and I never felt comfortable I never felt comfortable until 2 years because I felt like I'd be cheating the dancers that I saw on stage and I admired. And that's not to say I would say it verbally, it's just the way that I felt. So I was on stage, whatever year that Junior's Mama Used to Say came out, I'm on stage and I'm telling you, man, when I look back at that moment, tears, I can cry now. Tears came down my eyes because I knew that I finally made it. And from that kid that was in the room wishing to be on Soul Train and to finally be there, it was just, I knew that God had, I have to give it to God because it wasn't just a coincidence. There are too many better dancers, too many, you want to say this, better looking guys, too many nicer people than myself. So I know it was a gift of God because what I promised God I would do, that once my mom died, that if he got me on Soul Train, I would make sure that every person I ever talked to knew that the only reason I really got on there was because of Jesus Christ. And that's what I wanted to say more importantly than any other thing that we might discuss today.
Well, that's a wonderful sentiment, and I appreciate that. But I think that you should also at some point you have to own a little bit of your own credit. You know, success is preparation meeting opportunity. And you put in a lot of years and a lot of hours learning a lot of styles, doing a lot of different dance competitions where, you know, it's not just like you showed up at the gates, walked in with having no experience and they said, hey, put that guy up there. You know, you worked your tail off to be ready for that chance. So taking no glory from God or anybody else, you know, don't short yourself in the story, sir. You know, you did a lot of work.
I feel worthy, Jay. I'm not saying like it was some miracle and I wasn't a great dancer. I'm just saying that I know where my blessing came from, man, and I wanted to address that right up front.
Sure.
You know, that's what it's always been. And everything that I do regarding Soul Train, even the cruises, I dedicate that to God. It was, like I said, there's a lot of other people that could be in the position that you guys have given me. So I'm just saying, man, I honor it to the fullest.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Tell us a little bit about your first meeting with Don Cornelius.
Oh, I can't tell you like a first meeting, okay?
It doesn't have to be the first time. I just mean as he enters your life, you know, in the beginning there. What was your encounter like? What's that experience like?
Well, I think he gave me a compliment. It was one of the first things about dancing. And then said something like to the fact, go up here, like nobody else is on stage pretty much. And I knew you would not be in that room if Don Cornelius did not think that you had something that he wanted to be seen on his show. So we all take that kind of lightly, but for a fact that either he liked your personality or he liked something that that energy that we possess.
Sure, it was a business.
I knew that I had that at least, but there was never this personable interaction with Don and I.
Yeah.
I knew he knew that I'm there to work, and I always treated him like a father or a boss. I'm there, and I'm not gonna let you down.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
And that's what a lot of people say about him.
Yes, and I want to tell you one encounter, however, because most people don't know this moment that I'll tell you about. So there was a tribute to Don Cornelius given by the Brotherhood Crusade, and that was about 1984, 85. And so there was like 25 dancers of us chosen to do a montage of Soul Train for Don. So we do this dance to Axel Rod, dun, 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 you know that song?
Yep.
So that was the beginning of it. I'm just trying to let you feel how it was. And we all come out, and it was each of us, and we did kind of this mock Soul Train line, but we each were came out and did a solo each. And the audience was made up of industry people. It wasn't so much the, you know,
fans
public.
Necessarily.
It was more of industry people. Yeah. And there were some of them there, but most of it is these people, right? A tribute to Don. So we do this thing for Don, and you could tell which dancers that they just hyped up. And I was one of those people. You could hear what the people, you know, the response. So after this is all over and everything, you know, just like any other dancer, I'm walking back and I'm going. Don stops me on his shoulder, pulls me in front of him, you know, like, stop, hey brother, not hard, just stop me. He said, man, I really am very proud of you. I love what you did. And tears are coming down his eyes. And when I saw that, it made a humanness in him for me that like, wow. Privy that me, Jay, my earphones came out, man.
We got you. I can still hear you. Now I'm looking at your lamp, but I can still hear you.
It showed me a different side of Don at that time. Now I'll have to say Don has cussed me out. Once I got up on stage with Janet Jackson without asking, he cussed me out, but the energy she and I had, I felt like, okay, I can jump up there. If it was somebody, probably not Janet, there she is right here. If it wasn't Janet, he probably would have yanked me down, you know? Another time was with Sheila E. Same thing, he cussed me out. But the one thing he didn't, and he would have done, had I not had what I believe I possessed, would have been out the door.
Yeah.
So I was never too prideful in that. I was always just knowing that, hey, I have this something, and that's why I'm here. So again, it was my job, and I just wanted to have fun, you know, showing the world whatever it was that however I moved and whatever I wore. Well, it wasn't just the dancing; it was kind of a combination.
You're a very passionate man. I mean, you know, and that comes through. You know, I've had the pleasure of knowing you now for almost 6 years. You know, and you're very passionate about what you do. I know, right? You're very passionate about what you do, and you're very passionate about what you believe, and you're very passionate about your dance and the people around you. You're a very positive, outgoing person. So it doesn't surprise me that you would adapt to, you know, Soul Train was a business. Everyone that talks about Don Cornelius talks about the same thing, and, you know, what he meant to African-American business owners, and, you know, and the progression, the movement. you know, that he was at the head of, especially for television. And, you know, I pat you on the shoulder myself because you didn't take that lightly. You knew what you were walking into, right? And like you said, you were there to have fun, but at the same time, you know, it was a business and you were there to promote and do that. And that actually leads me right into, you know, you being known as Dee Fox. You know, Dee Fox is your common nickname. And that was strategic. Tell everybody how you came to be known as Dee Fox and why.
Yeah. So, well, I want to add a little caveat to it because it kind of is like, wow, who would have thought that? So my mom used to call my brother and I her little foxes. Like, when you guys get to be teenagers, you're going to be da-da-da-da-da, right? So we used to really take that to heart because that was like some of the last things we really remembered about our mom saying about whatever, you know, our lives ahead. So dancing on Soul Train about 2 years, and I had a fox tail in high school. I would wear all kinds of weird things. I would wear these like fake rings in my nose or eye patches, and man, my friends have stories about the crap that I would do, you know.
Eye patches.
Just having fun.
Who wears an eye patch? What are you, a pirate? Like, who wears an eye patch for fun?
Some crazy ass skinny pirate with a big ass afro. That's who. Just doing all kind of crap, man. So I was on Soul Train about 2 years, and I had a friend. Her name is Liz Rivera, and she said, you know, Derek, every time I watch Soul Train and I'm trying to tell my friends who you are, it's really hard to pick you out because everybody's on there is black. They have afros, and they're tall and thin. So how do I pick
Which
you
one?
out?
The tall brother with the afro. They're all tall brothers with afros.
Yeah. So she was kind of the person that gave me this idea, and I thought, she said, you need to wear something so people know you are. So believe it or not, she came back with these like raccoon tails, like on this string. It was like 2 of them. I wore them on Soul Train a few times. But where the foxtail came in, I thought it was more of an image, you know, that I wanted to. You're not thinking like, oh, I'm going to put an image out there. Listen, I need something cool that makes me stand out. And I'd seen other people actually on Soul Train wear them before me. I just happened to have one also. So when I wore that foxtail and I'm dancing, whatever female was next to me, they'd say, can I play with your foxtail? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You know, they would sit there and just play with it like it's a stuffed animal. Yeah. So that's how Dee Fox, instead of calling me Derek, they just started calling me Dee Fox, Derek with the foxtail. Or they call me foxtails, but Dee Fox kind of stuck. So it's kind of like something I just embraced also because I'm like, you know, that is pretty cool. And I wear the foxtail. So I just took it to heart. So by that 3rd year, by 83, I was totally all into it. So I just said, you know, almost every episode that I want to, I'm going to wear a foxtail. Sometimes I did not wear it just for whatever mood I was in. You know, I just didn't want to have it on. But for the times that you could tell when I'm in a really good mood because I wear the bigger of them.
Your mood, the foxtail size depicts your hat.
Yeah. If it was kind of small, you could kind of tell I'm like not trying to let you see the foxtail, more about how I'm moving. But it was about this foxtail. I'm probably trying to make some kind of statement, and that is the truth because I would just pick like which one am I going to wear today, you know?
Sure. Now, in all, how many years were you on the show?
13 years, actually, like 12 because when I had my son, I took off that year. That was 90. So, 91, like right at the end of 91, I kind of took off for that small amount of time as my son was being born. But for the most part, about 12 and a half years.
And that's a lot of years. I mean, that's more than most dancers stay on, isn't it? I mean, if I know correctly, most tenures are pretty short.
Yeah. So most dancers that come to Soul Train, if you get on the stage, a guy, your longevity is probably 2 years. You know, if Don likes the way that you move. Yeah. Those of us that stayed like 10 years is because he was really honing in on the product. Yeah. And I think he felt that the kids changing, it was kind of hard to manage who was coming through the doors. Sure. And then I'm just talking for him. Now, I don't know if this is a fact. Sure. But I think it just felt more natural to have a team of dancers that he knew was going to be able to change the way we look and be able to dance, you know, change like the mood of the show, just go along with the show. And I think he picked a lot of the perfect people that I would have chosen myself.
Well, there we go. Now, you performed with a ton of stars. Obviously, Soul Train was a who's who of entertainers. I mean, everybody came through there at some point in time. Who were some of your favorites to perform with in your time there?
Well, Sybil was kind of a fun one because I was just, I don't know. She did Don't Make Me Over. Yeah. Remember that Dion song?
Yeah.
Well, she made a hip hop version of that. That was kind of fun because a guy, James, and I, another dancer, Soul Train dancer, he and I just made up impromptu routine. Okay, when I do this, do that, do that. And when you see the clip, you would never know. Most of the things I did on Soul Train are impromptu. They're not something that I contrived or I thought of. I might have set up a dance routine like in 5 minutes. This is songs going to be played because we never knew what song they were going to be played. So it was hard for me because I'm almost, I wouldn't say a perfectionist, but I want to know what I'm doing. So if I just made up a routine, then I didn't give a care what song it would be. It's just like, okay, let's execute it. So a lot of those things I didn't think about. I just let my body and the music move me. And, you know, I want to speak on something while we're there. Soul Train, you know, go ahead, Jay.
No, please. I said, please. Yeah, speak on it.
Okay. You know, about Soul Train, dancing on Soul Train, you know, when I got there, a lot of the instrumentation was real music. I'm not telling you something that you might not know, but a lot of the public doesn't realize. So a lot of the songs that moved me were actual, the instrumentation would be like on percussion. I love percussion. I love hi-hat. So with the synthesizers, when it got, it wasn't real instruments. You actually did not feel the music, and all of us had to learn how to dance to the synthesized music that became more of the norm than playing actual instruments. That's why when you hear Earth, Wind, and Fire song or Stevie Wonder song, I go on, and most people out here know this. But when I hear those songs and dancing to them, it really is moving my spirit. With the synthesized music, it's just like that. Then I have to think about how I'm going to dance to this song because I'm not really being moved. I'm listening to more of the lyric to dance to that more than I am about the sound. I wanted to throw that in there because it had a lot to do with the way I dance. And the way that I danced on Soul Train, if you saw me in the club, it was totally different. Soul Train was like we're giving a show. It was not the way a lot of the people on the show actually danced when you saw them out having fun and partying. It was all really being a character.
I think that's similar, you know, with a lot of, I had the pleasure of working with Dancing with the Stars for a few years, you know, and I'm lucky enough to be able to call a lot of these world-class professional ballroom dancers friends. And you see them on a dance floor when they dance ballroom, and it's very structured and it's a show, to your point. It's a different style of dance. It's not the same as hip hop or R&B dance, but it's a show and it's production, and it's similar in that way to what you're talking about. But then you get them in a nightclub, or you get them when a good song comes on in the living room, and it's a different dance, right? All of a sudden, this different attitude comes out, and it's they're professionals and they know how to turn it on. You know, you're a professional. You know how to turn this on. You know how to give a show. But that's not necessarily what you're doing on your own when your jam, when your cut comes on.
Right, exactly. And Soul Train is a production. It's not like a party. It's stop and go. They play a record, they stop. This, you know, and so on and so forth. But the people that I liked working with, there wasn't no one that I did not like working with, Jay, but I'll kind of mention some people that the clips were captured was Carrie Lucas, let me see, Sister Sledge, Evelyn Champagne King. I was on stage, let me see, Little Richard, but it was a lot of us on stage for that. A lot of the background, you know, when people are watching Soul Train, we always call it the side riser. So when there was an entertainer or a band on the center riser, that's like, we call that prime real estate. That's where most of the dancers want to be seen. Unlike in the 70s, the cameramen would go more outside the floor and capture those dancers. As it transitioned into the 2000s or what have you. They were just more capturing just an individual, a piece of a body. It was like the same way of filming. And what was my point about bringing that up?
Well, we were talking about who was on stage and who was dancing with who, and where you would get to be. Like with Little Richard, there was everybody on stage.
Yes, thank you. So my point being is that in a lot of the backgrounds, when there's an entertainer on the center of the stage, they want some really good dancers, usually tall people, to be in those side risers, because when they're entertaining and the camera pans over and you're watching those people perform, I'm usually in the background is what I'm trying to say, on the side. Even though I'm not in the center riser, you see me in the background of a lot of those cuts. So much so that the show, the series, you
got me. You got to give me more than
it's a series about unknown artists and where are they now?
Let's
like
just call
unrecognized.
It that.
I can't think of their name.
I can't
I'm
either.
gonna bring something up. Anyway, that series, they show this when they during a act like Midnight Star, let's say. Almost every time they show a Soul Train clip, which they're talking about artists, music artists on Soul Train, I'm usually always in the background. I should have my own Unsung is what it's called.
Yeah.
Unsung
Unsung. Thank you.
episode.
Yes.
Because I've been on there so many times in the background, which is a new joke I've been hearing. So my point being that even though I wasn't always on the center riser, I'm on the side risers or on some specific place. Anywhere you're seen on Soul Train, of course, is a good spot. But that center riser is being so tall and lanky like I am. I always wanted to be on the center because I had the room to move, and this other place was kind of constricted. So it wasn't I wanted to be a big star.
You could let all the moves out. There was no restrictions.
Exactly. and I moved a lot, and that was just my way of dancing. I watched Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, and those guys, and I like I'm an emulator. I'm not so much a dancer. I could just emulate well, and those are the people I would steal stuff from. And I do that crap on all kinds of songs on Soul Train. Believe it or not, you catch me doing the Charleston sometimes.
Listen, if it fits,
all
it fits.
Kinds of stuff. Yeah.
If it fits, it fits. We were talking last time, and you were saying that at the time, if you remember this conversation, you were saying that one of the great performers that you enjoyed working with was Tina Marie. You were talking about when she came on Soul Train that it was.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Yes, Tina Marie. Yes. Well, it's not so much I performed with her, but almost every time that she came on, every time that Tina came on Soul Train, that's my favorite female artist of all time. And I mean, I love everybody. Aretha, of course, you can name her. But Tina does something to my soul because that year I turned 20 years old, 1980, and I got on Soul Train. That song that she released called "Irons in the Fire," the album. Yeah. Man, it just I was hypnotized. There was an album before that, but this particular album, I was hypnotized by Tina Marie and that voice, and going into LA for Soul Train, it was kind of like the perfect timing. And so there's not another voice that moves me like that. So my point was that almost every time that she's on Soul Train, you know that she's on Soul Train because I'm right in front of her, I'm beside her, I'm somewhere near her, because I love Tina Marie. A lot of artists, if I wasn't on stage, I would sit down for, just like anyone else, they're not motivated. But man, when she was there, man, I don't care what she's saying. I was just,
Well, you just showed us that album on the wall behind you. You don't have to show us the whole room. I understand it's your room, but tell us what's going on in there. You got a lot of things happening in that room right there.
So I promised my wife I wouldn't go all over my house saying, show people what they can take and steal. I'm like, okay. But
yeah, because that's what our audience is going to do. They're going to come in.
Yeah, right.
Well,
I'm going to go to this corner over here.
Yeah, what's going on?
So I'm going to talk about this room. Let me spin this around a little bit. You get some light back here, man, on me.
We can see it.
Oh, you see well?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this corner, that's my Soul Train. I'm trying to get that light off of it.
It's all right.
That's my Soul Train album. So there's volume 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Shalimar album. That's the album that Jeffrey Daniels has a signature on the back of.
Okay.
I'm learning how to do this thing.
You're good.
So no one's on these albums unless I love them. Okay, so it's not just I'm putting up albums. It's like
I was gonna say, who gets on the wall? How do you decide?
Who gets on the wall?
Yeah.
Because I have a collection of over 6,000 albums. So if you're on this wall, it means that you've moved me and everyone that I love is not on the wall because I didn't have permission to do that, even in my man cave. But these are the people that I truly love. So I'll start off. It's so this is a 3 Degrees that's saying the theme of Soul Train, of course. So I have them. So it's Shalimar Soul Train compilation albums that you can't really find. They're collector items. I got Luther. I got Bobby Womack, Carole King, Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes, James Brown, and Ashford and Simpson to complete it. And then down here I have my award from the city of Los Angeles. I don't know if you can see that.
What's the award for?
Just a certificate of recognition being a Soul Train dancer. Because they gave a lot of us. Yeah, so the Soul Train dancers, we get a lot of awards for civil things going on in lots of cities. All of us kind of give back in different ways. We'll talk about that.
I was going to say, wait a minute. Don't just breeze over that.
Okay. So you want me to expand on that right now?
Let's expound on that for a second before we move on. Okay. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. So what's the outreach?
So a lot of us, not collectively. Well, let me back up. Collectively, here's what we do. There's a guy, his name is Marco Di Santiago, and he gives a Soul Train annual Soul Train Christmas party. And so all of us bring a toy, a wrapped gift, and amount of money that you'd like to donate. And we do that every year. There's also a picnic that some Soul Train dancers
And who does that go to? Who does the gifts and the money go to? Where does that go?
they give it to underprivileged children in
Got it.
inner city. So
Okay.
urban, I don't know
Sure.
exactly
Sure.
this time to
Yeah.
tell you, but this is what we do.
Yeah.
There's a picnic. The same thing happens. We bring a gift and we get together. So when we have reunions, it's usually for a civil reason.
Sure.
There's another former Soul Train dancer. Her name is Brandy. She gives an annual. It's like a Soul Train dancer tribute. And what she does with that is that there's money's made, and she helps children that want to be future entertainers. They get their chance
That's
to
cool.
perform on stage with the Soul Train dancers and so forth. It's
That's
really
cool.
nice. It happens every
Yeah.
March. And of course, we have the Corona deal going on, so that was canceled.
Little delay, but
Yeah, but I'm sure we'll pick that up in the future, you know. And me, myself, I'm involved. My wife works with a company. It's Women Helping, a nonprofit, Women Helping Women Back to Work. And so what I'm involved in is it's called Boys to Men. And it's that young men that are 18 and they get emancipated, you know, at 18, like
Yep.
15,
Yep.
16, 17, 18. And what they do, they've never worn suits. They're from inner city. They've never
Sure.
even had a suit or a
Sure.
tie.
Don't know
So
how to tie
they're
a
coming in,
tie. Mhm.
yes. So they're afforded 2 outfits so that they can go out and get a job. They
That's
get
awesome.
shoes, pants, belts, you name it, man, they get it all.
That's
They
wonderful.
spend the day, we spend the day with them. And then a lot of us become mentors. So one of my, Joseph is his name, he'll be graduating from San Diego State University. He's going to be an attorney. He's getting his bachelor's. And he's the first of those kids that have come through this program to graduate, and I happen to be his mentor.
Oh,
So
that's
man, I'm
very
so
cool.
proud of him.
That's
and so,
very cool.
but what's happened is he doesn't get to walk because of the Corona. So
Sure.
life.
You're still graduating though. You know, I mean, I understand there's a lot of people out there who don't get to walk and who are missing proms and things like that. But you know, graduation, you still have the honor. You still have the education. You still have what's most important. You may not have that little bit of experience, but you know, I don't want it lost on people that you still accomplished.
Well, no. So I wanted to say this. The reason I said it the way that I did it this time is that he's been in the foster system. So when you're graduating or you're doing something that is elevating your life, it's kind of, you've been waiting on that. And it's like, it's that goal. So it wasn't it's just a pop in circumstance is really what he wanted to feel. So that's all I was speaking on, because I know how bad I can't wait to wear my cap and gown, and I can't, you know, that's what we've been talking about. So now it has to change. So he is proud of himself, but it just kind of changed that
something tells me that that with something that's that important, you guys will find a way to get him into a cap and gown and get him across a graduation stage.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. We will, man. So anyway, back to the wall. I got so here I love Basquiat. I don't know if anybody knows that I'm a Basquiat fan, but this thing is filled with T-shirts. Anything I can find of Basquiat, I buy it. I'm excited to say that because I emulate a lot of his art and I love it. And I told you I was an artist as well, right? I paint and I photography, all this stuff. But anyway, I'm so proud of this backpack that they made. It's covered with Basquiat's art, and I just put all my collectible Basquiat stuff in there.
That's cool.
Yeah. So back to the wall. I got to show you one more thing, because this is my D Kobe cap, man. I had to show you that. And it has my Kobe wings on it. And Kobe lived like 5 miles from here, you know, and I'd see him a lot of the time. And what's sad about it, but bittersweet, is that when I'd be in Newport Beach, you know, which is not too far, every time that I would go there, somebody would yell out Kobe, right? Don't hear that anymore. And that's kind of sad, man, because not so much that I wanted people to believe I was Kobe, but you just hear it and I would just raise my fist in the air. So not to ever hear that again, it's kind of like, wow, it lets me know that he's not there any longer, you know? That's just my own little.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the wall for the 3rd time. So we got Prince, of course, Curtis Mayfield, Stevie Wonder, Rick James. Let me see, I gotta go this way.
A whole bunch of Jacksons.
Yeah, all the Jacksons, Michael. I have all Michael's Jacksons after he did Off the Wall. I have all those albums because I performed on them so many times. Earth, Wind & Fire, Aretha Franklin, Saturday Night Fever, The Miracles, Bob Marley, Shalimar, The Supremes, Sly and the Family Stone, Elton John, Funkadelics. I got 2 Marvin Gayes. I like them that much. Nancy Wilson, Diana Ross, Blondie, and Casey and the Sunshine Band.
6,000 albums.
Yeah, and I have about in this room. those are in storage. I had, we scaled down like 2 years ago. We had a big ass house. So I'm not happy about that. But anyway, I'm gonna move on. So I have about 200 in this room, and I have one of those little record players, those crossy little record players.
Yeah.
So I play a lot of my stuff on those. I have like 3 of them because I like to cut the outside of the little record players. I fall in love with them, so I buy them. But let me show you this chair. Can you see this, Jay?
Yep. Oh, the blue hand.
Yeah, the big blue hand. I got those.
You are a collector of things. Yeah, your wife's about to come in here and smack you around. You keep showing everyone your secrets.
Yeah, but I have a lot of stuff, man. I collect books and art, and I'm a collector of pop music and art, and I have a big collection of this stuff. And I'm hoping that seems like my granddaughter is going to be the one that's going to try to do something that I did. She's already dancing. She loves it. She loves that little girl, JoJo. Oh,
yeah.
That's what she wants to take JoJo's place. She's 6 years old right now.
She's 6. Your granddaughter is 6.
Yeah, she's 6.
And what does she call
you? Remember she was being born on the cruise?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Back when we first met. And what does she call you?
Grandy.
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 I love it.
Not just D, I'm the Grandy.
Grandy. That's cute.
Yeah.
And
Grandy.
I'm assuming it's hard to love anything more than a grandchild, I would assume.
Oh yeah, man. Well, I have a story to tell you. Man,
please.
I hope I'm not getting too deep into my personal stuff, but I want to tell you.
It's your personal stuff. We'll take as much deep as you'll give us.
All right, I'm going to tell this story, and I hope I'm telling it well. And if you need to stop me, please just holler stop, because I'm going to tell it quick.
Let's go.
My mother died in 1970, as I said before. Okay, so it's 50 years that this situation has happened. This is the situation. I never knew my father, searched for him for high and low, got an Ancestry and 23andMe, found a second cousin. The second cousin's grandfather is my father's half-brother. Finally met my father because my mother told me before she died that I would find out something in the future. The future was I never knew who my real dad was up until December of last year.
Yep.
Just a month ago, I went and met my father for the first time. I have 5 brothers. I'm the oldest and the shortest of the 5 brothers.
Holy cow.
And I'm the 6th.
And you're not short either, first of all.
No. Yeah. So the tallest is 6'9", and then they fall in all between there. And I'm 62, and the youngest brother's 52.
5 other brothers.
5 other brothers. I have to show you pictures later. I don't have them where I can get them.
Have you? Now. No, we'll take that offline. How many? Did you meet all your brothers yet?
Okay, so one brother, his name was. So here are their names. I'm Derek, of course. Then there's Darren. Then there's Leonard. Then there's Byron. Then there's Eric, and then Roderick. So they're all their names. Leonard, we haven't found him yet, but he's a brother. And then Eric passed with pancreatic cancer 3 years ago. The brothers that I have been involved with, the 2 that are in Texas, where we're from, is Byron and Roderick. They grew up in the house with my dad. My dad's been married to their mom 60 years. So they grew up in the house with my dad and Eric. And then Darren, myself, and Leonard, my dad had 3 boys before he's married.
Got it.
And so, so Darren and I that lives in Los Angeles, he's a musician. Matter of fact, he's friends with Tony Cornelius. My brother is. And when I told Tony this story, I'm like, you know Darren Lee? He goes, yeah, I know Darren Lee. I said, that's my brother. Tony's looking at me like going, what?
Yeah.
I'm going, that's my brother. He's going, that's your brother?
Like brother or brother? Like, yeah, exactly, right? Like, what do you mean he's your brother?
Yeah, he said, that brother can ball, man. I said, well, yeah, just like I can. I went there on it. Anyway, Tony out through the cruise, this last cruise, he kept just saying, man, that's your brother, just blown away. So, and so I talk to my brothers. We're very close now. I talk to them, each of them every week, man, since I've met them just a month ago.
Well, I know how loving you are, and I know how much family means to you. So that's wonderful that you found all these people. I mean, that's a very cool. My father went through a very similar experience, actually.
What?
Yeah, he was adopted, didn't know anything, never knew his original family, and then when I was about 18, so this was about 22, 23 years ago, he went and looked, similar thing, went through the adoption agencies and kind of did the Ancestry thing, and they found his mother and father, who they had both passed, but he had 6 brothers and sisters, and some of them were living like 2 blocks, no joke, 2 blocks from him. Still, they were still living 2 blocks down the street. And so anyway, not to take away from your story, but very similar.
No, it's all right.
it's amazing when your family tree goes from this to this, right? It just all of a
Yeah.
sudden becomes
Yeah.
this, you know, I bet you've got nieces and nephews and all kinds of stuff now that, you
I
know,
met a lot of them. Yes.
right?
Yep.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Yeah, but being able to hug my dad, you know, that was just an incredible experience, man. That
Sure.
I would really tell anyone that is looking for a parent or someone that they love to really go through Ancestry and 23andMe, and
Yeah.
not to be scared. You know, a lot of people are
Yeah.
scared. What are they going to do with your DNA? Well, you'll eventually be gone anyway. So I don't know. That's the least of the
Yeah.
worry. But yeah, I just think it's a beautiful thing, man, and I'm really grateful to God again for letting me have the chance to meet my dad. Could have
Sure.
lived. Yeah. So anyway, yeah,
You know,
that just happened for me.
you know, I got a question for you, and I don't want to get too deep on you, but you know, if you don't
Yeah.
mind letting us know, you're an incredibly positive person. You're an incredibly
Right.
uplifted person. You're someone that I've never heard you badmouth. I've never heard you look down. I've never heard you speak negatively. And we all have our moments. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you're an angel all the time, but
Yeah.
I've heard you take the positive and the high road for 6 years that I've known you. And we've been through some situations on the cruise and otherwise that weren't great, where we had people frustrated and, you know, we were dealing with things. And I've never heard you do anything but be a positive, uplifting person.
Mhm.
I know you're going to give a lot of glory to God and your religion, and I understand that. I
No,
understand that. But I'm going to
I'm
ask
gonna tell the
you
truth.
personally. I want to talk to you personally. And again, I'm not taking anything from God in your faith, but how do
Right.
you? Because there's a lot of religious folks that don't have that positivity. So there has to be something in
Right.
the person as well. Talk to us a little bit
Hmm.
about how you maintain that positivity and that energy.
So being an observer of people,
Mm-hmm.
I okay. Here's a funny story. Zig Ziglar, and I'm not a proponent of Zig Ziglar. Like, oh, you need to get Zig Ziglar. But
Yeah.
it's so funny because my grandparents from the South, they had this little table in our bathroom in our house. And it was right, they had this little bookshelf under this little table. So I guess when you're on the toilet, you have this little bookshelf, right? So yeah, so I'm in there. I would
Yeah.
read. I was, you know, I don't know what age I started getting interested in these books. They were there, man, from the time I was,
Yeah.
you know, a toddler until I'm like 7 or 8. And I started reading these books, man. And I picked up Zig Ziglar by chance. And it was How to Win Friends. I forget the title of it. I'm not good with.
Yeah. How to win friends and influence people.
Thank you, man. And
Yeah.
you know, as a kid, I started reading. I'm like, wow, this is what you're doing. This is what you do. So, and then I saw my grandparents just behave, and they were so personable, man. There was no stranger. You know, my grandpa called everyone Joe. So I didn't want to be like my grandpa, because sometimes he's kind of corny, you know. So I'm like, you know, I don't want to be like him, but I want to be positive most of them, because I found that when you were positive, how people treated you. And if
Sure.
you're walking around, you're frowning, people are going to treat you a certain way. So I thought, you know, my life, even though I'm down, I'm not going to be fake, but I'm not going to let the world treat me a certain way, because they don't really care about the way that I'm feeling. So my exterior better be positive. And then,
Yep.
like I said, when my mother dying, man, that really just made me think that every moment is not given. You better relish in every moment. You know, like I didn't have a lot of pictures of my mom
Sure.
or someone to really ask to tell me how she was or what she would be like in certain situations. So I always just take the positive things. Okay, I'm going to be like this. And her voice was so loud, I used to get on my friends' nerves, because I was always the gatekeeper. Don't do this, don't do that. So I would get on people's nerves, man. But on the flip
Oh, we
side, they loved
can't.
being around me, you
Yeah.
know. But I
Yeah.
was always, you know, kind of overdoing it to a fault. Now,
Sure.
as I'm a grown man, I see how I wouldn't have been around me, man. It was just too much, you know. Like you couldn't do nothing. You can't
Yeah.
come in late. You can't drink. You can't smoke. You can't do nothing, you know. But that's just how
Ugh,
I lived
Derek
my
is
life.
boring. Yeah.
Until we got into the party, then I'm the life of the
Yeah,
party. They
right.
want to be around me. Then when
Yeah.
we get out, let's get home. Let's do nothing out of the extra, you know. So, man, I think I just had to have that with my mom dying. I just had to. And then searching for my dad, I just had to live my life positive. There was no other way to live it. I
Yeah.
don't have a formula or why I did it. All I know is for me, it was a must. Because the way that I see how I felt when I wasn't smiling or
Yeah.
when I wasn't positive. No one cared about me. I was kind of not having parents or anybody who's going to ask you to come anywhere or do anything if you're negative, when
Yeah.
you don't have people taking you places and you want to go somewhere. So having that positive attitude, man, I got invited everywhere, you
Sure.
know. People want to
Well,
be
I mean,
around somebody positive.
It's an old adage for a reason. The adage of the happiest people don't have the best of everything. They make the best of everything.
Yes.
Life is tricky, and life is going to constantly throw us curveballs, and we're going to constantly get lemons. I mean, look at right now. Obviously, we're living in a world that's
Mm-hmm.
scared and confused and is closed, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people that I've been
Mm-hmm.
talking to a lot of folks on these interviews, and a lot of the same conversations ensue, and you don't know who exactly to listen to,
Yeah.
what news station is right, which one is wrong, and who is to blame and who is not to blame, and who reacted correctly and who reacted incorrectly, and what country, yada 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 yada.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to be a contrarian. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to be negative. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
because it's safe, because a lot of people are, and it's not. It's almost harder to be positive. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost harder to be. It's you know what I mean. Like there's so many people
Mm-hmm.
choose that easy road of
Mm-hmm.
snickering and bickering and talking about
Mm-hmm.
somebody. It's easier that way. Sometimes it's harder to be
Mm-hmm.
the one that is, to
Mm-hmm.
your point. No one wants to
Mm-hmm.
hang out with Dee Fox because he's always, we can't have no fun with
Mm-hmm.
Derek around.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I commend you for that. That's a hard
Thank you,
road.
man.
It's a hard road.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And another thing I want to say, these times that we're living in right now are kind of nostalgic for me because I grew up in the house and like I said, my grandparents were from the South. So a lot of my time was spent, that's why I'm a dancer, because I was locked up in the house. I couldn't really go anywhere. She didn't let us play ball. She was just so strict, and
Yeah.
I realized at the time when that's happening to you, it was almost abusive, because you didn't get to do what other kids did. You just felt like
Sure.
you were left out. But had that not happened, I guarantee you I wouldn't be the dancer that I am, and my brother would not be the bass player that he is.
Yeah.
And not that we were saying that I had to even be on Soul Train to say that. I just
Yeah.
know that is that gift, and I know that I honed in on it because of being stuck in the house. Because where else were you going to be dancing?
Well,
It wasn't like today.
amen. And on that note, what would you? There's a lot of folks from Soul Train that are watching this. Obviously, our Soul Train cruise constituents, and there's also
Mm-hmm.
other folks from other cruises that are tuning into this. What message would
Mm-hmm.
you share to everybody right now, knowing that we're in the middle of this? Well, hopefully not in the middle. Hopefully, we're nearing the other side of the middle of this pandemic and the whole quarantine, and people are struggling.
Yeah.
What would you say to folks?
I would say my favorite word in this time of this crisis is creativity. Because if you use your creativity, and I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not creative. You have to take what you have in your home now and try to re-love it, re-energize the things that you have in your home. Look at books that you have. Go back through old videos. Go back, revisit things that you love in your life, because that's all we have is life. And at this time when you're stopped and you have nothing else to do, this is a time that you go back to your things and you think of the positive and not look at it as just a bleak, negative situation that's coming forward. It's a time for creativity, like I said, and a new way of living. It's a chance to really live a different way,
Yeah.
because we've been pushed and pushed and pushed. If we all just take a step back and turn the news off, because that negative is going to be there. Stay safe with the gloves and the mask. I even opened up with the mask on, trying to be funny for you and Janine. But I'm taking that very seriously, and I don't
Yeah.
think the country should be opened up at this time. But I would say to most people, don't be in fear. And I'm going to say something, Jason, that I wasn't going to really mention, but I am. I believe that I already had the corona. Reason being, I could not get my wind, and Pat knew it. And I was so sick that I kept, I had to do my job. And I won't talk about what happened because you were there and you saw it. I did my job. I was so sick, I could not catch my breath. And I
Yeah.
made myself, I'm a person that will push myself to, I made myself breathe well again. But what made me breathe well was pull-ups, was expanding my chest, because
Yeah.
all it wanted to make me do is tired and lay down. So my point was, I would say, if you have to sleep sitting up as high as you can, drink lots of hot fluid, and you got to, that mucus that wants to come down you got to spit that stuff out. That's the stuff that's trying to get into your chest. And a lot of people just swallow it thinking it's going to your chest. And I know
Yeah.
it sounds kind of gross, but to me, that's part of it. Once it gets into your chest, it's over. Because it's
Yeah.
gonna, and don't take like ibuprofen, take Tylenol only. Don't do Aleve and those other things, because it will just be simply, it'll just be a Band-Aid. It won't really help you, and just go through the fevers, get under the covers. I did all this stuff, and
Yeah.
keep exercising. Don't lay down. Don't, even though you're tired, keep moving, keep energizing yourself with liquids and fruit and vegetables mostly. And I'm not just saying this trying to be somebody's doctor. I'm really telling you, this is what I believe helped me from not going to the hospital, you know?
Yeah.
And it was scary, man.
Well,
and I didn't even know this, it wasn't even about Corona at that time.
yeah, I mean, I think, we've been talking about it we've been talking about COVID-19 and Corona as a disease and as a virus, not a disease, as a virus for some time now. But in all reality, and again, I'm no expert, I don't know anything, but in all reality, it's been around for a little while. We're just now catching up to it, right? We're just now,
Yes.
we're just over the last few months have started testing and recognizing it. And again, I'm no expert, please don't quote me. So it is, it's entirely possible that a lot of us have faced it. And, I mean, they're talking about now how many people don't show symptoms and all these things. So how many of us have been in contact with it, have had it, have not had it? I felt ill on and off, I get tired. I get things all the time. I don't know. To your point, and I guess to your point, neither of us are medical. Neither of us are professional doctors. We're certainly not, and I'm sure I speak for you when I say, if you're seeing a doctor, listen to your doctor, listen to the medical professionals. But for people like you and I, for those folks out there who maybe feel a little bit of something, I couldn't agree more. Stay active, try to stay active, sleep, rest is important, but don't just give in and lie down 12 hours a day. You got to stay up.
Yeah, and those body aches, if you get those body aches, another thing is to take hot showers. And then if you could stand the cold, like real quick for like a half a minute and back to the hot, it does wonders for you. And don't try to run from the fever. Put warm clothes on. You got to sweat that stuff out of your body.
Own it.
Yeah, you got to own it, man. And it's hard. It's not easy. But if you want to live and you don't, and some of it, I'm learning now that they're saying that there could be some ramifications after the fact with body, I don't want to.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have a lot more knowledge here in the next 6 months in terms of what's going to go down. So I don't even want to venture down that path at this moment. Let's
everybody be careful.
Amen.
Yeah, just take care of yourselves.
Wash your hands, baby. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Quick side note: How to Win Friends and Influence People was actually Dale Carnegie who wrote it, but it's right along that same path as Zig Ziglar. I'm sure that book was there as well. So
all those those types of
same
books
idea. Yeah, same idea.
Yes. Thank you.
Dee Fox, man, I appreciate you.
Hey man, I was gonna say I didn't say Tony Robbins because that's a whole nother era.
You're going down. That's another conversation for us.
Yes.
I love you, man, and I appreciate you taking the time, and I always appreciate your positivity and your outlook. And I want to say thank you to you and your wife for letting us into your home.
Thank you, man. Well, as always in parting, I want to wish you love, peace, and soul.
To all our Soul Train watchers that are out there, of course, love, peace, and soul, my friends. And to all the folks from other cruises that have tuned in to hear Dee Fox and I chat, thank you for joining us. Keep your eyes on this channel. We'll have more content here for you soon from the different cruises. On behalf of that man over there or over there, whichever side he's on, Derek Fleming, Mr. Dee Fox, love you, brother. Thank you to everybody. Have a great day.
God bless you, Jay. Love you too, man. Talk to you soon.
See you later, folks.
Bye-bye.